In this video, we'll discuss the music ideas of Learning to Fly by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. The first music idea that we'll discuss is the two main measures of the song. The same two measures are used for both the verse and the chorus. So in some sense, it's a quite simple song to play. The melody of the verse and the chorus is different, but the harmony or the chords is the same. The next music idea that we'll discuss is the chord numbers for the two main measures of the song. So we can think of all of the chords as coming from the key of C major. So each major key has a family of chords that belong to it. So the one chord in the key of C major is a C chord. The 2 chord is a D minor chord. The 3 chord is an E minor chord. The 4 chord is an F chord. The 5 chord is a G chord. The 6 chord is an A minor chord. And the 7 chord is a B diminished chord. Back to the C. So in this progression, it actually starts on the 4 chord. So you don't have to always start a song on the 1 chord. So the 4 chord is F in the key of C major. And the way to play it very easily, a lot of people think of F as a hard chord to play because you might have to bar it. But if you just think about the chord and playing parts of the chord, it can be as easy as playing a C major chord. So here is a C major chord. And all I'm going to do is take the 2 fingers from strings 4 and 5 and move them down a string, and that's F. If you just play the 3 strings 2, 3, and 4, then that's an F major chord. You can actually play the A string as well. That's part of the F chord. You can see the A note is already being played in the chord on the 3rd string. And even if you want to ring the open E string, so that becomes a F major 7 chord. So even, that note is part of the key of C major, and F major 7 is also a chord that could be played. So even if you ring string 5 and string 1, it's still going to sound okay. It's a F major 7 sound. Or you can just focus on the 3 strings, string 2, 3, and 4. So the first chord is the F major chord, then the 1 chord, which is a C major chord. And so that's basically the first measure of the progression. And then in the second measure, the first chord is an A minor chord, which is the 6th chord in the key of C major. And the last chord is a G major chord, which is the 5 chord in the key of C major. So if you look at what he's playing throughout the song, it's the 4 chord, then the 1 chord, then the 6 chord, then the 5 chord. And then he adds the 4 note, so this is a C note, over the 5 chord to give a little bit more interest. That becomes a G sus4 chord because we have taken out the 3rd and replaced it with the 4 of the chord. So one thing about playing this progression, you can see that the index finger for the first 3 chords actually stays in its place. So this is a nice reference point as you're playing. The last music idea that we'll discuss is syncopation. You can think of syncopation as doing something irregular with the rhythm. And what's irregular about this rhythm is when you change the chord from the F to the C, it's on the and of beat 2. So instead of changing the chord right on the beat, you're changing on the and of the beat. So you're tapping your foot to the beat, but changing your chord on the and. So it takes a little bit of practice, but very, very doable. So in this song, we're playing eighth notes and all as downstrokes. So you can count that 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, but you can also just count the beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And what you want to do is tap your foot on the beat and count as you're playing. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the syncopation comes in that on the and of beat 2, you change from the F to that C chord. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So if I slow it down, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And so if you practice it enough, you should get to the point where you can count the 4 beats, tap your foot on the 4 beats, and change the chord and not have that be a problem for you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. When you're starting, you could actually count 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, and change the chord on the and. So 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. And the syncopation happens in both measures. So when you're changing from the A minor to the G major, it's also on the and of beat 2. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. So those are some of the main music ideas of learning to fly. If you go to myguitarlessons.com, we step you through each of these music ideas in detail and step through playing the song with you.